What's good, everybody? My name is 2400Y2K. Welcome back to the pod. That's what the name of this is going to be now. I'm pretty decided on that. I'm pretty in concrete. It's just going to be called the pod. Don't ask why. I just liked it, and it just stuck out to me. I think it's very lazy but creative. If that makes any sense. If that's an intelligent way to put that. So, essentially this episode might be a little bit better, might be a little bit of choppy too. I'm not even gonna lie. I just got finished with a rough draft. This is about 10 minutes of recording. After about 10 minutes, I did not fuck with what I didn't have anything put together. My script was real shaky. And I didn't really have any great talking points. I was just kind of talking and like trying to research at the same time. So it was like I'd say something, then I wouldn't finish with the thought. I would just keep reading the information and then finish after I got the entirety of the information, which, if you know anything about podcasting or just talking in general, that doesn't really work out. So I'm definitely not going to try to do that. I'm definitely just going to try and see. I'm doing it again. Well, I'm not doing it again. That was just kind of like a brain fart, but essentially. I'm going to try to not do that. I'm going to try and get a real script together, get my facts, get everything I need. I didn't know that much work went into this. When I saw a podcast, I essentially thought you pick up a mic, you get a friend or something, or just yourself, and you sit there and talk to an audience, a friend, something for X amount of time about whatever, and that's it. You know what I mean? Like, that's all I thought a podcast was. But I was wrong. I was very wrong. What a podcast is a whole fucking process. You have to think of ideas. You gotta research those ideas. You gotta write them down on paper, notes, something like that. You gotta have everything kind of mapped out. And you gotta do it yourself. This isn't like the news anchor or any other of those other things like this. It's all independent. Or at least for me right now, it's all independent. Hopefully, I'm hoping one day to get some producers or something like that. But as of now, it's just me. It's just me doing this. So, with that said, welcome to the pod. Again, I am your host, 2400. Check me out on Instagram and on Twitch, 2400Y2K. I'm going to be getting that Kick and Rumble up here as well. I haven't streamed lately just because I'm trying to get all into all this at once, kind of, which I don't know if it's the smartest, but it is what I'm doing because I want to do it all. If I didn't, I wouldn't. If I just wanted to do one or two things, I would. But I want to do all of it. I want to stream. I want to make videos. I want to do podcasts. I'm really into the media, not the media, but I'm into social media type deals, or YouTube even, Twitch, Kick, Rumble. I don't make TikToks, but like I think even that I'm gonna get a TikTok channel going, probably under the same name, 2400Y2K, and then I'm gonna post my clips there from this pod or the other stuff, streaming. And especially if I can get a friend on here or on streaming, I think it would help a lot. I think that's really where you're going to see me shine, especially until I can kind of get this down more so. I think if I have a friend on or something like that, you'll really see me shine as a host or just as a conversationalist, just as any of that. I think that I thrive off of other people. That sounds crazy. Not like that. I'm not a fucking leech, dude. But I just mean that when there's people around, I'm more creative. I'm able to come up with more ideas. I'm able to talk more. I'm able to talk about things more coherently. I'm just able to be there present, I guess. I don't really know how to explain it. But yeah, so that's the plan for the future right now, is just try and get some people to do this with and try and get my own media. Yeah, I'll just say media going. Also, sorry, I keep taking breaths. I'm not used to this whole podcast thing, so I keep talking without breathing because I don't want to breathe right into the mic. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna get better at that too. I'm gonna get better at all this. Just watch, just see the progress. It really is coming. This is podcast number 2. Um, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to keep this one. I don't know if I'm going to even keep this part in here. I might edit some of this out. It might just come out fully unedited, full release. But I'm not quite sure yet, just because, I don't want to release garbage. I don't want to release something that's not quality. I don't want to just be bantering or just sitting here wasting people's time. You know what I mean? I want people to enjoy this. I didn't make this pod for people not to enjoy it. You know what I mean? I made this for me, but at the same time, I also made this for a plethora of people, anybody who wants to listen to it, So I think that, I don't know. I don't know. I think that it'll get better for sure. I think that even this just being my first podcast is, or second podcast is pretty impressive. Not to just even be like that, but anything you're doing like that in life, even if you guys are doing sports, music, anything like that, I think confidence helps a lot. I think you have to trust in yourself. I think you have to believe in yourself. I think you actually, as corny and goofy as it sounds, you do have to believe and manifest in what you do. If you don't believe that, if you sit there and tell yourself your product's shit and it's never going to sell, it's probably never going to sell or sell. But if you sit there and really believe in it, and sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes you believe with your whole heart and it doesn't happen. I'm not saying it's the case that it's going to happen every single time without a doubt. What I'm saying, though, is sitting there and not believing in your product or a product that you're selling it's never going to get you very far. It's never really going to make you money. It's never really going to get you happiness. It's never really going to get you anywhere if you don't have your heart in what you're doing. If you don't believe in what you're doing, then more than likely it's going to fizzle out just because you just don't care. You know what I mean? You just don't care enough to maintain it. It's like a house, a car, a relationship, anything. If you don't care enough to maintain it, then it's not going to happen. It's not that perfect marriage you have planned. It's not going to happen if you don't care, if you don't put any work into it. You know what I mean? If you don't believe in that, if you don't believe you guys are going to get married, if you don't believe in your love, then it's probably not going to happen. Not saying if you believe that it will 100%, but I believe that not believing makes it a whole hell of a lot harder to be successful than it does to help anything. I think that in order to do great things in whatever field that may be, whether you want to be a scientist, whether you want to be a doctor, whether you want to be a lawyer, whether you want to be something unconventional, you know what I mean? Whether you want to be a fucking skateboarder or who knows, you might just want to be the best sign flipper. If you want to be the very best, and you don't have to take advice from me, you don't have to listen to me. It's just a pod, so I'm just talking. But if you want to be successful, at least to me, you have to believe and you have to care about what you're doing. And I will die on that hill, because I think a lot of people confuse dreams and passion. I think a lot of people see things they like and confuse that for passion. I think, somebody really likes pizza, and I think that they mistake that. There's obviously a broader spectrum. I'm just using this as an example, but I think somebody who likes pizza and they mistake that for their passion just because they like it a lot, and they get into the pizza industry and they fucking hate it. You know what I mean? They and they're like, well, I thought it was my passion. I love pizza so much. I thought it would be awesome to work with it every day. No. There's a difference. Because there's some people who don't necessarily like their passion. I don't know how to phrase that. Doesn't sound good because that doesn't make very much sense, does it? But there are some people that just kind of let their passion flow to them. A lot of people, I think, look for it. Like I said, they say that thing that they really like or really enjoy, and they think that that's what I want to do. Oh, I really like video games. I want to be a video game creator. I want to be a video game tester. I want to be in the video game field. And then they get to the video game field and they're like, well, why do I hate it? Why does it suck? Why don't I like it as much as I thought it would? And I think that's because a lot of people confuse dreams, passion, and wants. I think those three things people get mixed up a lot. And I think that if you were to approach it on a more human level, and if you were to kind of really think about what you're passionate about, I define passion more so as what can you sit there and do for hours. And obviously it's going to change, especially with jobs. If your passion becomes your job, it's automatically, in my opinion, probably going to become less fun, just because that we make that human connection of, oh, this is work now. You know what I mean? Like, before, this was my hobby. Like, your brain just gets dopamine, serotonin, whatever. It just really enjoys what it's doing. But as soon as at least in my opinion, as soon as your brain makes that correlation of, oh, I'm working. This is a job. I'm no longer just doing this because it's fun. I'm no longer doing this because I want to. I'm doing this because I get a paycheck. I'm doing this because, not that I have to, because there's plenty of jobs where you don't, but I think you feel almost in a way that you do have to, and I don't agree with it. I think that, I don't know, I think that we're all human, and I think that in order to be successful, you should pursue your passion. And that might take some time to find. You know what I mean? It really might not just come to you just like that, like a lot of people want it to. And I think a lot of people do that as well, where they're so upset that they see other people doing their passions, or they're so discontent with their own life that they have to find a passion. You know what I mean? They have to find a passion to them, in their opinion, in their mind. They have to find a passion. Watching everyone else be successful, or watching everyone else do their passions and you know, be happy from it, I think it makes a lot of people unhappy, and they think, oh, I have to find it, and immediately they just kind of pick something, you know what I mean, just because they have to have it. So they don't really research it, they don't really think about it, they have to have it. So they go in something that they don't really enjoy, or they go in something that they've convinced themselves that that's their passion, and then they don't really like it, and they say, well, what happened? It was my passion. But it really wasn't your passion. You know what I mean? Like, your passion might be shining shoes. You know, it might sound random, it might sound funny, but your passion might be shining shoes. And if that's what your passion is, you know what I mean? It's not the most luxurious, it's not the dopest, but it's, you know what I mean? If that's what you're passionate about, I think you should do it. And I think oftentimes you'll find with things like that, you will make money. A lot of people get scared in the opposite direction too, where they're scared to go pursue. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. But I think a lot of people are scared to go pursue. I don't know. Lost my train of thought. I was on a good note there too. That's fucked up. Damn. And I'm gonna watch this back too. I'm gonna be so pissed because it's like, you know, it's right there, dude. You were just talking about it, and I can't play it back right now, so I can't look at it. But sorry, I kind of got off my train of thought there. But essentially, I believe that everybody should try and find their passion. It's going to take time. More often than not, it's going to take time. You're not just going to pick up something and love it. You're not going to just pick up something and be fucking excellent at it. I think a lot of times you're going to need to search for it, and it might take a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. It might take 10 years. I mean, there's really no time limit on finding your passion. Some people work their whole lives miserable and upset, and they'll become an actor, you know, later in life. And it took them 50, 40 years to figure out that, oh, wait, this is what I want to do. I want to be an actor. You know, I really have a passion for acting. I love being on screen. I think it's difficult because you might mistake a lot of things. Like, I was just going to say, like, oh, I love the camera. I love the lights. I love the audience. I love the people in my face. But even that sometimes is not your passion. You know what I mean? You like all those things, but your actual passion itself isn't that thing. It's, you know what I mean? Or it is that thing and it's not the other thing. It's not the lights. It's not and I think, I don't know, it's really interesting to me how that works. But I think that this is my passion. I think that was what I was basically trying to get around to, is this is my passion, and I think that I'm going to do good at it just because I believe in it. I think that's exactly where this started, is believe in yourself. If you believe in yourself, you're way more likely to succeed than not. And I don't care what anyone says. I haven't read any statistics. That's just my own personal thought, that if you believe in yourself, you are 100% more likely to succeed than if you just say you're a piece of shit, you're never going to succeed, oh, my product sucks ass, oh, my, you know what I mean, this sucks ass, and this fucking blows, and, you know, everything's negative. And I think a lot of people get caught up in that era, or not era, that mindset that everything sucks, especially in the West. I think we're conditioned to think that a lot is like, oh, everything sucks. So, like, you know, just everything. I mean, I do it myself. Forgot to grab spaghetti noodles. I have to go back to the store, go through this bullshit traffic, fucking honk at people, fucking flip them off, give them the bird, almost getting a physical altercation in the Walmart parking lot for some noodles. But even that is better than not having a home. You know what I mean? Or even that is better than having to go work in some kind of diamond mine or mine in general, or any hard labor as a child. You know, we never had to do that in the United States, or most people. I can't say everybody. There are people, you know, there are cases obviously, but majority of people in the United States, especially, or majority of children in the United States, do not have the same perspective as those in a third world country. And I'm not saying that's I'm not saying that they should. I'm not saying that they deserve to be in a third world country. I'm not saying they deserve to have it bad. What I'm saying is I think a lot of people in the United States have trouble with belief systems because, especially that belief system of it's shitty or it sucks or it's, you know what I mean? I think that's a very American luxury. I think most countries can't afford that luxury of having. Sorry, I gotta plug my PC in real quick. But I don't think a lot of countries can afford to have that luxury of everything sucks. You know what I mean? The whole day at the diamond mine sucks. The last thing you want to do is get home and say, "Oh, you know, fucking Mom, this fucking diamond mine sucks, and this house sucks, and coming home to no food sucks." Which, granted, everybody does when they get frustrated. You know, I'm sure they have days where they feel like that. However, they enjoy the little things a lot more than we do in the United States. And that's very impressive to me, and I think a lot more people from the States need that perspective of a third world country, because I think a lot of people, even myself included, will go throughout the day and just being like, "Oh, that sucks," or, you know what I mean? Like, just upset about a lot of things that are probably minor. You may not think they are, but really ask yourself, in a year or, you know, however long, are these problems going to matter to me? And most of them aren't. But back to what I was saying is, a lot of that mindset of this sucks. It's not like that around the world. I have done my research. I do look into articles on Africa, on places like Sudan, on places like Somalia, on places like Mozambique, where I've watched interviews, I've seen the locals, I've read things about the locals where they're just happy, a lot of them, to be with family or to be alive. A lot of them don't have the time or luxury to sit there and say this sucks. Because one day you say it sucks, the next day you're dead. So what sucks worse? Being dead or, you know what I mean, the problem. So a lot of people don't have time. They don't have the resources either to afford this sucks. You know, I can come home after work, say this sucks, sit there, mope around, walk, you know, do whatever I do after work. They usually don't have that luxury. They have, you know, they get home from a 12-hour shift in the mines or wherever they're working, hard labor, keep in mind, it's usually hard labor. They come home from 8-hour, 12-hour shifts, and they're beat and they're exhausted and they're upset. And a lot of them probably do want to do what Americans do. Say this sucks. This fucking sucks. But at the same time, they're also very grateful, I think. I think they're, and I don't know if this sounds bad or something, and I really don't think it does, but, you know, I don't know what people think nowadays. But, you know, a lot of them are just grateful to be alive. Or one I seen in particular, the boy was just extremely happy to have his mother. You know, and that's touching, because it's like, I sit here, I got a few family members around. I have, some friends. I got, quite a few things here in the United States, all considering. And I'll still sit here and be like, this sucks, or have a depressed moment. And I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm not saying as a Westerner you shouldn't be depressed or you shouldn't be sad. What I'm saying is the it sucks attitude. But that mom, anyways, back to that real quick. He was just happy to see his mom. He came home, I think after 10-some hour shift, immediately starts working on schoolwork, cleans, helps his mom. And, night falls and everybody's going to bed. And he just, his mom gives him a kiss on the forehead. He gives his mom a kiss. And he says good night, and I love you. And essentially, I appreciate you. And thank you for everything. And she's, says something, kind of similar back. And I just thought, wow, we live in the West where I live, I have people in my home, and I come home and I don't say anything. I don't, sometimes I'll just come straight down to, the stew or whatever and completely disregard, the person I live with. And that's not right. You know what I mean? That's me admitting my own fault that's not cool. That's not right that, we're like that in the West. I just don't agree with that, because if this little kid can go to work for 10 hours a day in a mine, come home, help his mom, do schoolwork, and, just all around everything, and then still at the end of the night, I love you, I appreciate you, thank you. That's something about that really touches me and makes that really put that into my heart that, damn, in the West, we got it fucked up. We have it so fucked up in the West where there's not a lot of that same gratitude or just like thankfulness for being there. And I see that especially with entitled people, or people who've had money for generations, or big time money for the last 20 years, 10 years, 5 years, whatever it is. I've seen a lot of people, and they're very disrespectful. They're very arrogant, and they're very condescending, and they don't really have that same gratitude. I used to work at I won't say it as of now just because I don't know. I didn't work there that long ago, but I used to work at this one spot, and it was retail, and this lady came in, and she gets her things or whatever. I don't bitch about that. I don't care. It's my job. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna sit there and bitch. But what bothers me is, I'm bagging her stuff, and I bagged something wrong, I guess, and she looks at me and she says, why'd you bag that wrong? Blah, blah, blah. Why'd you bag it wrong? Well, I'm sorry, ma'am. I was just bagging. I apologize. I didn't know. I didn't know what I didn't know I was bagging it wrong. Like, this is my first job in like a clothing retail store. This is not food. You know what I mean? I don't know what goes where. I thought it was all okay. And so she's like, no. And then she starts unwrapping it or whatever to rewrap it and put it in her bag. So whatever, I let it slide. So then I grab the next item, and she looks at me and she's like, what do you think you're doing? Something along the lines of, you have a real attitude problem. You grab that so aggressively, and now you want to have an attitude with me because I made you do your job. Well, if you'd have just done it right in the first place, then we wouldn't be here, would we? And it's like, lady, I'm just trying to get my check and go home. I don't have any beef with you. I don't care about you. I show up here to get my check. I don't show up here to make friends. I don't show up here to be happy. I show up here to get my check and go home. Just like you, if you had a job, would show up to. Now, I know that assumption might sound wrong or fucked up, but I'm just saying it in the sense of she was rich. She had all kinds of jewelry on, was in a big old giant Ram pickup truck, her and her husband, had all you know what I mean, all nice stuff she was buying from our store, hundreds of dollars worth of stuff. And mind you, it wasn't like I'd grabbed like a fucking piece of glass and slammed it in there, or it wasn't like I was being disrespectful in any sort of manner. I'd simply wrapped something that she didn't feel was right and placed it in the bag wrong, which you could just tell me. You know what I mean? You could just say, hey, could you rewrap that? I don't know if that's going to be safe in there, you know, because I've had customers politely ask and say, hey, you know, can you, and I think a lot of those people do have empathy and gratitude and have had to work entry level jobs, 9 to 5 regular jobs. But I think a lot of Westerners haven't had to do that. I think a lot of Westerners think better of themselves, even when in almost poverty. I've seen that scenario too. Sorry that I keep jumping from topic to topic. This is just kind of something that happens. But I've seen it too, where a lot of oh man, where was I? Oh, I was getting heated too. TJ Maxx rapping. She was just unhappy. So I've seen a lot of people who are almost in poverty or even in poverty, and they flex on people who are poorer than them or have less money than them or have less items than them. And that, to me, it's the pot calling the kettle black. It makes zero fucking sense to me, because I mean, it makes sense, but it pisses me off, because it's like, we're both not millionaires. We're both not the top 1%. Me and you, with our money combined, I don't even know if we're breaking 100,000, dude. And yet you want to sit here and say, you know, flex on me or call my stuff shitty, or, you know what I mean? Just acting like you're better when you're only so many more dollars away from being impoverished than me. We're both closer to being in poverty than being in the top 1%. Like, and I think a lot of people fail to realize that. And I think a lot of people are just arrogant and ignorant. And I think ignorance plays a big part. I'm human, so I believe, you know, I'll put it like this. I believe in yin yang, that's a balance. So sometimes I might feel some type of way, but I'll always try and view it from a logical standpoint as well, because I do understand to a certain extent why Americans are like that and why a lot of them do feel like that, and kind of the society and the structure around that, and why we are the way we are. And I'm going to learn more about that. I'm going to college here soon, so hopefully I can start to learn a little bit more about that, get a little more in depth on some of these topics. But as of now, I just kind of wanted to get that out there, that I don't think wage shaming, or I don't think saying someone has a shitty job, or like, you know, in a mean way. It's one thing to be like, oh, my job sucks, or, you know what I mean, like your job sucks in a camaraderie way, where we're like, you know, we're like both like, fuck the system. This sucks for the both of us. You know, your job sucks, my job sucks, that guy's job sucks. I mean, but it's a whole different thing when people are, oh, you're the you're a dirty nigga, you're the janitor. Oh, you don't know what you're talking about. Oh, you're the janitor, you're the fucking trash man. Oh, you're the sewer guy. Oh yeah, I wouldn't, even though they make decent money, but that's not even part of the argument. Regardless of that, you shouldn't job shame. We're all just trying to make it in this country. You understand what I'm saying? Is we're all just trying to make it in this bitch. To job shame is ridiculous. And that goes for everything. And I even believe that for OnlyFans and all that. You know, calling them e-whores and all that. Like, it's just a job. I don't know. We've added so much value to our occupation, and it's kind of sickening, because it really is just a job. And we add so much value to it. So if you're a doctor, you automatically have more value than most people. If you're a lawyer, you automatically have more value than most people. If you're a politician, you automatically have more value than most people. And I don't believe in that. I've met good doctors, I've met bad doctors, I've met good homeless people, I've met bad homeless people. I've met a lot of people, and I believe that it's your occupation doesn't make you. And you know what I mean? If anything, you make the occupation. The occupation doesn't run without you. Think about that. If every doctor just dropped out, there is no more medical field. There is no more doctors field. You know what I mean? The occupation needs you. And I think a lot more people need to start sticking up for themselves and thinking about that, because I mean, it's important in our everyday lives. It's important as a human being to think outside of capitalism for a little bit, because we live in the West. Many of us, me included, we're tainted, or we feel some type of way, or we're very leaned into this capitalist society of job shaming, of whoever has more money has more value, whoever, you know, the rich people will control everything. It's not even a thing of politicians and government and all that anymore. the rich, the rich, the rich, the rich. So I think we're all closer to being together than closer than to being part of like the 1%. You know what I'm saying? So that's my little tangent on that. I think that people need to be kinder. I think that we need to get a sense of humility. I think a lot of people from the West need to live in the conditions that a third world country does for like a week. Put all the United States citizens or all that above a certain class tax bracket. I think you need to put them in a third world country or something like that for a week and just let them explore, let them live that way, let them see how easy it is to budget, like so many of these bankers and so many of these millionaires seem to think it is, that if you just budget right, everything's good, which is so fucking far from the truth. Like I've really heard politicians say that almost word for word, that it's not a problem of poverty or of minimum wage. It's a problem of budgeting. It's a problem with too many Americans spend their money on drugs and fast food and luxuries, when if they'd really just budget right, they'd be able to save that exact amount that they need. They'd be able to own an Audi R8 like me one day. When in reality, number one, I'd like to say it's almost impossible to budget. Not impossible, but it's almost impossible to figure out some sort of budget that will save you the amount of money needed to live in this country. And that might sound like a lot, and that's a big statement. And what I mean by that is, certainly you can budget. Certainly people can budget and certainly save money here, figure out this, figure out that. But what I mean is, when you're impoverished, when you are living in poverty, and it is not easy to just budget. When you're worried about the next meal that you're going to eat, when you're worried about the rent, when you're worried about this, that, and the third, it's not just easy to budget. And regardless of people's drug addiction, of their food addiction, which is legal and is very much encouraged by, the U.S. Gov, and not just the U.S. Gov, but society as a whole. And I don't know, it's when, even with those factors, I don't think the solution is to just let those people die or let them starve or let them live in poverty. I don't think that's the solution. I don't believe that it's totally 100% your own moral failure that gets you to where you are. You know what I mean? I think that there's a lot that factors into that. There's X and Y factors, you know what I mean? There's certain stuff that you were not able to change. There are certain, there's variables and there's non-variables. There are some things that you were born into. You were, you know what I mean? There's certain situations that, like, you're just in. I'll use a good one is a lot of people, it's like they're born into poverty, and as soon as they're 18, they're kicked out, and a lot of them become homeless, or a lot of them become drug addicts or something like that. And we like to blame it on their own moral failure, or a certain group would like to blame it on their own moral failure. However, I think that if you really break it down and look at it through a different, more human lens, that a lot of these people, like I was just saying, so you're 18, your mom, let's say you were born into poverty. You were born to a one-parent household. You have two siblings. You guys live in a Section 8 type deal, and dad's not around. Grandparents, let's say for this scenario, grandparents aren't around because that's becoming more and more prominent with the more health issues that we're seeing in America. Let's just say that you have all that, right? And let's just say now, they never teach you anything. They don't. Let's say you lived in a house where there's neglect, there's abuse, things like that. Things you can't control, mind you. You can't control any of this. You can't control your mom's life before you were born. You can't control who comes in and out of the house. There's just certain things, especially as a child, you cannot control. So, bam, it's your 18th birthday. You've lived in poverty your whole life. Your mother offers zero assistance. She's actually giving you the boot. And as well as that, you've just gotten into the world. So there's and it even breaks down even further. So, like, do you have your license? Do you have your birth certificate? Do you have all the documentation needed to get a job? Do you have a job already? If not, which is more, more kids in poverty most of them don't have jobs. They don't have reliable rides. They don't have, like I said, the proper identification, birth certificates, IDs, things like that. There are plenty of kids in the projects and in the hood and in different, poverty-stricken areas in America who don't have access to those things. So right off bat, you're at a disadvantage if you're not able to get a job, or if you didn't have a job before being put out on the street. So bam, now you're out on the street. And then let's say this is a perfectly good kid. He's not dealing drugs. He's not doing nothing crazy. He was just living at home, trying to get school done, and hopefully make some money, make it out of poverty, right? So now you're 18, you're kicked out. You probably don't have the best grades because of your home life, which, yes, that does play a huge fucking role, more so than anything in school, is your home life. If you come home to abuse, you come home to screaming, you don't come home at all. There is no fucking home. There, you know what I mean? Whatever the situation may be, that plays more of a role in your life. You're as a kid or as a teen or a young adult, you're going to care about that 10 times more than you care about school. If your grandma dies, if your sister or brother gets hit by a car, if you're evicted, if you guys are sleeping under a bridge, but nobody's reported it, and you're not going to either because you don't want to be split up from your mom, something like that. You know what I mean? It's like there's all these problems for the poverty kid right off rip. Those are just some of the stuff that this is a process. I'm breaking this down slowly so we can see where this chain and how this is stupid and illogical. That once you're 18, considered a legal adult, you have the same chance as everyone else. That you can pick yourself up by your bootstraps and become something, even though you weren't given the proper tools, techniques, teachings, or anything like that. You were ill prepared. You were not given money. You were not given. Let me just go back into it, okay? So let's say with all that, right? So now you're 18. You're on the street. You don't have a place to live. You don't have a job. You don't have any income. You don't have any money. You don't have any job experience. You don't have a license. You don't have a birth certificate. You have absolutely shit nothing. How are you supposed to go about this? You know what I'm saying? How is a young man or woman, I've been using man a lot just because myself, but this goes just as much, if not more in some cases, for women, where it's even harder for them to, you know what I mean? In a way it is. We all, as men, a lot of people think, they could just turn to sex work or, whatever if the going gets rough, or, they could marry a rich guy. I hate to break it to you, those also come with flaws. Money isn't the only thing that matters in this world. And just because a girl is in sex work or anything like that, that doesn't mean she's happy doing it. That doesn't mean just because she makes a lot of money from it, that doesn't mean jack shit. So just want to put that out there real quick. Men and women, anybody. So what are you supposed to do as an 18-year-old? You just got kicked out of the house. You have no money. You have no support. You have not a penny to your name. You have no car. You have no documentation, and you have these, like I said, zero money. Where are you supposed to start? And I'm going to do some research on this to really see how they would direct me if I was an 18-year-old, lost out in the world, nothing, just got evicted. You know what I mean? I want to see what that process is like, or if there is a process or any help at all. You know what I mean? Because I think that those things are really important. I think that if we do want to have this great America, if we do want to believe in such a fair and equal, the land of equal opportunity, because that's what it's called, right? The land of equal opportunity. If we're going to have that, we really need to make it that. And by that, I mean, it should be easier for this 18-year-old kid, because you might think just because this is a hypothetical guy that, oh, that doesn't happen to people, or that happens to 1%, which there's really only 1% on this planet that something happens to, and that's the 1%ers. They're the 1% that get Anyways, back to my point. Is we need to make it equal, because it shouldn't be that way where a kid, you take two kids. So the one I just gave you, we'll call him K. All right, and we'll call the other guy A. Now I'm gonna describe to you A. A grows up in a middle class household in the suburbs. He has some financial support, not all the way. He's planning on going to college. You know what I mean? He was taught, he was hit a little bit as a kid. He was yelled at. But for the most part, he was loved, nurtured, cared about. And his whole life, he's lived middle class. He hasn't been in poverty, but he hasn't been in the rich status either. He just kind of lives in the suburbs, middle class life. He plans to go to college. He's got big dreams. And if he wants to, he can fill out the FAFSA. His dad's gonna help him. His mom's gonna help him. They support him. They care about him. They're gonna get him an apartment, or you know what I mean. They're gonna help him pay for his dorm. They've had interest in his whole school. They made him get good grades. They weren't always at work, so they were able to stay home and make sure he went to school. They were able to make sure that he got a decent education enough to get out of that school. They were attentive. They cared, right? So, and that's a lot of people in America. You take this kid A, that's what he comes from, not the poverty lifestyle, not the other one I just described. Now, how is it that it's an equal chance for them to go to college and be somebody? Really, you know what I mean? And there'll be some people that say, oh, it's not fair. There's some people that say, that's just how it is. That's how a capitalist market works. And you're not wrong, but that doesn't make it it doesn't make it okay. Just because that's the way a system works. You know what I mean? It shouldn't just be a byproduct of capitalism that, oh yeah, this kid who was born into these circumstances had no control over them, like any kid does, has no control over his circumstances, yet the one has a way higher chance of going to college, whereas the other, you know what I mean? He just doesn't. He doesn't even have a chance to really live. You know what I mean? He's going to have to get a 9 to 5. He's going to have to walk it there. He's going to have to apply for assistance, hope he gets the assistance, because if not, he's completely fucked. If he does, he's going to have to go into Section 8, some sort of housing project, if he's lucky enough. Which, if you're a single male in this country, good luck applying for welfare and things like that. That's all I have to say on that. For now, just, keep that in mind, that if you're a single man in this country, there's not a lot of help for you. So, what is this 18-year-old supposed to do? You know what I mean? Who is he supposed to go to? What program is supposed to help him? And a lot of people won't help him because they blame it on his own moral failures. Oh, he was a jackass. Oh, he fucked up his school. Oh, he fucked off his life. Number one, he's a kid, and you should treat it like that. I hate when people say, oh, you fucked your life up at 16, or you know what I mean? You because of what you did when you were 15, your whole life, that's your fault, because when you were 15, you chose to skip school and fuck off and smoke weed with your friends because you had no parental discipline. You had nothing at home. Your parents were working all day just so they could pay for the house that you live in, so you're not homeless, or apartment, or whatever it may be. Because of that, you deserve not to go to college. You deserve to have a fuck up. Your education is in your hands. No, that's fucking bullshit. That's for the reasons I just stated. There's so much that goes into this shit, into a human life. One human life, so much goes into that it's ridiculous to say that it's one's own moral failure, or one should just pull themselves up by their bootstraps out of these messes. And there are examples. There are examples of people who grind hard as fuck and make it out of the mud. There are examples. I'm not going to sit there and say that there's not. But there are way more people who don't make it out, and there are way more people that do feel that it's a moral failure than just it being a failure, not only of the system, which I'm not going to blame it all on the system, because there is a certain level. Like I said, I try to view things from a rational point. So there is a certain level of human accountability, but there's also a certain level of system accountability. There's also a certain level of parental accountability. There's, you know what I mean? There's a million fucking things that go into this. And for some people to think that, a child or a young adult doesn't deserve a chance simply because they were born into circumstances that they can't change, I mean, it's fucking ridiculous. You know what I mean? I think welfare and all these different systems should go by off of scenarios. And yeah, we like to pretend they do. And yeah, we can say that they do. But they don't. For the most part, they don't. I know plenty of people who've been impoverished, who are in poverty as of right now, who are on waiting lists, or who haven't qualified for government assistance, or who haven't, you know what I mean, who've been denied because their parents, or just certain things. And I don't think it should be that way. I think we should look at it more as each individual cases. We should have local departments of what do you want to call it, welfare offices or things like that. We should have local, so they can hear each case out on a local basis, or on a smaller scale. They're able to hear people out. They're able to figure things out, because treating every case the same is just not right. It doesn't make any sense. You wouldn't use a fire hose for every fire. You know what I mean? You wouldn't use a fucking teaspoon on a vat of ice cream. You know what I mean? So I really just believe that handling every scenario with the same set of gloves, it doesn't help anything. It hinders this great country a lot. I feel like there's a lot of people that could be in the workforce, college educated, doctors, lawyers, all types of things like that, but they can't, just because they simply can't afford or can't get access to these methods, or to these lives, or occupations, I guess. They simply don't have access. They weren't given it. And I don't believe for a second that we're missing out on hundreds, if not thousands, if not hundreds, if not thousands, if not tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people in this country are missing out on the workforce, on college educated careers. And we have a lot of garbage men who should be doctors, and that might sound crazy. Well, why are they a garbage man? Because they weren't given the opportunity. You know what I mean? They couldn't go to college. They might have the smarts. There are people in prison right now who do genius fucking things, who are engineering MP3s, who cook gourmet meals. There are people in prison who fucking, you know what I mean, make MacGyver level fucking shit and make crazy contraptions, or just, you know what I mean, like technology, like seeing someone use like a hot coat rack and some, like a computer chip to make an MP3 is, you know, it's fucking those people. Now imagine this guy who uses hot coat wire on a computer chip to make his MP3. Imagine if he used that skill in Harvard or Yale or one of these schools. Imagine that guy was a computer whiz. You know what I mean? We might have the greatest hacker or the greatest computer genius on earth just sitting in prison right now because he never got the opportunity, because he was born into poverty, and we don't control that, like we just went over. So yeah, I mean, that's just really, really sad and disappointing to me that you know, that's how it is. And I don't know, I think the West is kind of sick. It is kind of sick in the sense of gross, but I mean, I think it's very unhealthy. It's sick, and it needs healing. I think a lot of Western culture and Western people need healing. I think they need to look in within themselves. And I'm not talking about the impoverished people. A lot of those people know who they are. A lot of those people wear their heart on their sleeve. I think it's a lot of the more wealthy and rich people in America who need healing in a sense. You know, you might argue that a lot of them do know, but I also would argue that a lot of them don't know. They're ignorant, they're willfully ignorant, or they're just they don't see, because of the position they're in. Like I said, they have had money their whole life. They don't understand. And that might sound a little bit silly, but there are people who don't understand what it's like to live in a third world country, who are just so rich and so pampered and so sheltered from the world that they really don't understand what it would be like to even be in they wouldn't understand what it would be like to be in a middle class family in America, let alone a third world country where everybody, for the most part, is impoverished and crime is through the roof, and you know, where things are a real struggle. Not saying that people in the United States don't have real struggles. We do. I do, you know, everybody does. But what I'm saying is, I believe that in their areas, the struggle is a lot more intense. It's a lot more real. It's a lot more life-threatening. You know, a lot of things in the United States aren't life-threatening. A lot of problems you have aren't life-threatening. They might be inconvenient. They might be upsetting. They might even cause a little bit of pain. But most of your problems in the United States are not going to be life-threatening, especially if you live over so many years. I mean, it's more than likely not that it's not going to be violent. It's not going to be something like that. Whereas in a country like that, the problems are very scary, very real. It's not just, you know, wage slavery, which is completely a problem here, and I'll get more into that in another episode probably. But it's not just like wage slavery that they have to worry about. They have to worry about real slavery. They have to worry about what do you call them? Warlords. They have to worry about warlords. They have to worry about murders, about thefts, and a lot of their, you know, a lot of their police force in different parts of Africa are very poor, are very you know, shitty, and a lot of them are paid off. A lot of them forget to see things that they should. A lot of those problems over in not, I say Africa, but just in the third world in general, a lot of those problems you won't make it home from, whether that be disease, an attacker. You know what I mean? Anything like that. Disease, an attacker, you know, some real slavery. You get sold into slavery. You get kidnapped. You know, you get extorted. You end up on Epstein's Island. You know what I mean? There's just certain things that when you're in a third world country, it puts a lot more. It puts you in a more a humble place. You have humility, because that's just, in my opinion, that's how it is. I mean, you're in a place where you could die. You know what I mean? You learn to be a lot more thankful if every second might be your last. Every day might be your last. Some dude might walk in with a machete and AK. You might just get hit with a sickness and die. So every day's a blessing. Every day you get to wake up like that little boy and see your mom and give your mom a hug and a kiss. You know why he was so happy? Most of the boys in his village don't have moms. Obviously they have moms, but they're dead or missing. And he's so thankful that his isn't. You know what I mean? Like, that's why he's thankful that he can wake up and say hi to his mom, because he's seen so many people in his village you know, so many people who don't have moms. So many people who don't even have any females in their family anymore, because they've all been stolen or killed. So that's what I mean by, in the West, if we were put in a third world country for a week where we have to live like that, where we have to really fend for ourselves and be on survival mode, I think it would give us a greater appreciation for what it is we have as a country, for the freedoms we do have, and for all the luxury we do have in this country. I think it would put a lot of people in their place. I think it would. But yeah, that's kind of my tangent on the workforce. And I know that was a long one. I know that was a lot to unpack. There was just a lot said in that. So I think I'm going to end the pod here, just because it is. I was intending to only go for half an hour today, because that's what I was going to try and make these pods, is around half an hour to start with. And then if I get some more feedback or people liking it, I was going to make them, you know, around an hour. And just depending, you know, if I can get more than one person, you know, we're talking probably an hour and a half, 2 hours maybe. But I was hoping for just the first couple ones to be 30 minutes, because I'm working on it. I'm trying real hard. And I don't really have a solid script. I don't really have a solid plan when I come into these. I put a few things in my notes, and I glance at them here and there. But like, this podcast was all from the heart. I really didn't read a script. I really didn't. No, I wish I would have put my cam on at least. I didn't. Not for this one, just because I'm just trying out something new for now. We'll see. Maybe once I get a setup or something like that, we might we might turn that can back on, or I just might feel like it some days. Some days I might not. I just wanted to try it this way real quick to see how it would work. I did like it. So we'll see. We'll see on that one. But no, this was all from the heart. I really meant everything I said, and I'm really glad that it's documented somewhere. I'm really glad that some people will get to hear this, because that's really how I feel. That's really what I think about. That's really stuff I find interesting. Especially being from the West, being an American. It kind of shocks me how we are, especially as a human, not a human race, but as a Western culture, that we're very desensitized. We're very rude to a lot of people. We're very impolite. You know what I mean? We think highly of ourselves, and I think that in order to start changing this country, we really need to heal. But yeah, so that was this podcast. This was the pod number 2. Like I said, I'm your host, 2400Y2K. Check out my Instagram. Check out my Twitch. And then pretty soon I'm going to be on Kick and Rumble. Same name, 2400Y2K. That's going to be my name for everything across all platforms. Hopefully I'm going to start doing some music soon, but anybody who's doing music knows that shit's really fucking hard. Not the vocals part. The vocals is fairly easy, but actually making a beat. And I probably could just download something or one off of somewhere, which is what I might end up doing. But for now, I'm trying to make a beat and then rap on it. So hopefully that goes somewhere as well. But I'd like to thank everybody for watching. I really enjoyed this podcast. I'm honestly going to say this was a lot better than the first one, and I really enjoyed this. This is all from the heart. This is all from me. This wasn't just, of course, here and there I use Google, look up some numbers, stuff like that. But really, this was all from me. This was from the heart. This is how I feel. This is one topic I really wanted to get into. So that's just that's really what I wanted to say real quick. So I just want to say thank you guys for watching. I'm going to try and record one tomorrow. I wasn't even supposed to record this one. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to share one more little bit. I wasn't even supposed to record this pod today. I was busy all day, and so then I came home, and I was really just going to go to bed. But something about it, man, I'm telling you, I really enjoy this. I just sat down. I looked at my computer. I picked up my headset and microphone, and I was like, I'll try one. Really, I was just going to record something, maybe a little intro, maybe just something, a little 5 minutes, which is initially what I did. I just, it was like 10 minutes. I recorded it, and, but I didn't really like it. I really fucked that one up. Like, I was really just stuttering. I was like looking through my notes, had my phone out, had the video on. It was kind of a lot. It was kind of, it was kind of a lot. So also I might have to get a new microphone or a microphone shield as well. That might be a little bit later, but that's besides the point. I wasn't even going to record tonight. I was just going to put it on, kind of fuck around, maybe see if I was feeling it or something like that. And I would definitely was tonight. I was really feeling it. I was excited to do this. I'm still excited to do this. So I'll probably record tomorrow. I'm not sure because I did one today and I don't want to get burnout. But if a little hair gets up my ass like it did today, I think I should be able to record. Like I said, especially if I can get somebody else on here with me, if I can get one of my friends, a guest, anything like that, then it'll be a lot easier. The conversation will flow a lot better. I'm a lot better at hosting something like that than just doing a one-on, because I don't really know what to say, and it kind of feels like you're talking to yourself. But there are certain topics that I'm really passionate about, and that was one of them. So I was able to get I was going to say get off a lot on that, but that sounds absolutely fucking insane and diabolical. So I'm not going to say that. But yeah, so that's those are some of the topics that I really fuck with, that I'm really interested in. So yeah, that was really, sorry, I'm just trying to type this out real quick. Because I said some things today that I'd like to bring up again. So what was the sucks mentality. So that's one. Work on that. if you can, try and work on that at home. Try to not be in the negative. Just remember where you're at in the position you're in and kind of say, think about the good things. Think about something where you could say this is awesome instead of this sucks, or this is pretty cool. I have a house. That's nice. I really enjoy that. And one that I think that often helps me is one bad, one good, but you always end on a good. So, you say something you're upset about. Oh man, that test at school really sucked. This sucks. This sucks mentality, right? But you always got to counteract that with a good. So, that test sucked. But I do live in a house in America. Even if it's something like that, it can be more specific. It can be less specific. It's just something that's personal to you. So that's that. That's one note I wanted to put down. This sucks mentality. Try to get rid of that. Western ideology. Definitely want to get more into that. I'm just going to try and jot down a few things here that hopefully people will like or be interested in. This has gone over an hour now. So I think I'm going to end it here soon, right after I get these quick little notes jotted down. And I'll listen to it back. I always forget that. I can always listen to it back and get some ideas from there as well. So I'll probably do that tonight as well. I have a few things written down here, though, from tonight that I really enjoyed. But then again, anyways, it's been your host, 2400 Y2K. My mic's sounding kind of crazy. I bumped it. Anyways, yeah, like I said, this has been God damn, I really don't like the sound of that. Anyways, this has been your host, 2400 Y2K. Check it out for now. This has been the pod number 2. Make sure y'all check out the third one coming soon. Check out 2400 Y2K on Twitch. Check out 2400 Y2K on Instagram. And I'm going to be on SoundCloud, Spotify, everything soon. So you know what I'm saying? Really do watch out for that. I'm not joking. I'm really on the come up. I'm really out here doing this shit. So yeah, man, it's been great. Thank you for watching. I'm out.